It's today in EVE Online, April 24th, 2020. I am Matterall. We're going to see what comes at us today. I'm here with a big group of friends. The group will grow bigger and bigger as CSM election spins up and people visit us that are running for CSM. I don't know how we're going to handle CSM interviews this year as talking in stations. We may break off and do 20-minute interviews with each person, or we may just incorporate them into these morning shows. We'll see how that goes, but we are...
Thunderdome. We need to do Thunderdome.
Yeah, we're at what? We put them against each other?
We put them all in the dome, and then by polling we start muting them.
Okay, but it has to have the trappings of sumo wrestling, because I love all the sounds and the referee noises that come from that.
You want us to grunt while we do it.
Isn't it LB that's got
can make background noise?
But LB's got one of those selections of sound bits and stuff he uses on open comms, right?
I want a soundboard from sumo wrestling. If you've ever watched sumo wrestling, it has the best sounds besides the yelling and the grunting.
Soundboard for sumo wrestling. Gotcha.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to put that on the to-do list.
Yeah, put that on the checklist and we're good. That's all I want. And then we'll just say like, tight! And then they can collide and we'll say, faction warfare, go!
Then we need some small emotes with the guy with the fan.
That's right. I want to dress up. Yeah, I can dress up like that. All right. Hilarious. So we'll figure out how to handle that stuff. You'll see people come and go from here. You'll see their bubble open up when they talk. For now, let's see what's going on today in EVE Online. Open up our statistics for Dotlan. I'll just read off some stuff here. Most violent regions in the last 24 hours. First place is Delve with 930 ships destroyed, 571 pods destroyed. Ethereum Reach, 755 ships destroyed, 522 pods destroyed. And then Catch is in third place with 500 ships destroyed and 411 pods destroyed. For those that don't know, Delve is the home of Imperium. Ethereum Reach, I think, is the home of Horde, and Catch is clearly the home of Brave Newbies and Legacy Coalition. But let's check Ethereum Brave, because I'm not 100% sure on who's there now. Oh, it's Slice, former Alliance for Guardians of the Galaxy / Dead Coalition. They moved over to the other side and joined up with, I believe they're part of the PanFam Coalition now. Let me check that list out. Yeah, it's all Slice. Slice and Horde, so they're living in harmony along with some triumvirate. Wonder why that number jumped up there. Okay, in most violent systems in the last 24 hours, here's probably why Ethereum Reach is in number 2. They had the biggest battle that is the last 24 hours. Ethereum Reach LXQ2 TAC-T. That system had 483 ships destroyed and 363 pods. That's a fight, and that's a popular system. Let's check it out. It is Horde space. So actually, let's take a look at that, right? The places that are getting attacked the most have, by reputation, some of the newest players or some of the most numerous players. Horde, Legacy, and Imperium. Oh, this always takes a while, so I'm going to go to LXQ here. Go to Z kill board. Actually, I'll do a new one. Here's the system and Ethereum Reach. Let's see if we can. There's a fleet. When you start seeing uniform ships, like all of the same ship, that's usually a fleet. And it looks like Goonswarm. Yeah, so it looks like Goonswarm came by for a visit in Ethereum Reach, and there was a lot of ships destroyed. So we'll click on this one here. and we'll click this button here called related. And that usually groups them up so we can see if there was a fight with multiples. And yeah, you have 200 on 200. Initiative, Pandemic Horde, they're not supposed to be on the same side. Versus Goon Swarm. So basically the Imperium came to Horde territory. It looks like Titans were dropped. Well, there's 2 Titans on these kill mails, so they might have been dropped, or they might have been the target that escaped. Let me switch some sides here. Pandemic Legion is on the other side. Initiative, Mercenaries. Oh, and TSDIN is on that side. I wonder how much work they're doing for Initiative to find things that need to be attacked. I think Triumvirate's over on this. So we're kind of cleaning up this battle report that tells us who fought and how much. There's something. I don't know. Intrepid Crossing. I haven't seen them in a long time. Who's Intrepid Crossing with? I think it's probably the same group. All right. So that's cleaned up a bit. And looks like Initiative kind of mixed it up with PantFam. That's what's going on there. And I wonder if Initiative's new wormhole group didn't lead them to something getting caught, like a Titan. And then the Titans were bailed out by these dreads. That's my hunch. I don't know if that's what happened. I don't think so, though, because you have fleet commanders in here. If you ever want to see who the fleet commanders are, look for the ship called the Monitor, right? I'll click on one. And you could see these ships are very resistant to dying, so that keeps the fleet commander on the grid able to command and see things without getting picked off early. And so they will fly these things. They are popular. And Shiva that's probably an alt for either that's probably an alt for Nidisbaum. He's a theory crafter for NC Dot because he's in Shiva. He's the leader of Shiva, I believe. And that's where Killer B is. That's his corporation. But you also have Red Line here. He's a former Goon Swarm or a former Imperium FC. And he's now FCing for Original Sinners Corporation in Northern Coalition. That's also the same corporation that has a lot of FCs for NC, including Rapid Bunny or Bunny something, whatever his name is on Open Comps. I forgot his name. And DJ Eldard. Yeah, he's been on here a bit. We've talked to him. But look at this, Muck Barovian, flying a bustard. That must be flying ammo to the field. That guy is a great FC. Interesting guy. He likes to win, and he does win a lot. So we'll try to get a conversation with him. Met him in Vegas. I think he's one of the best FCs that are playing the game today. All right, so it looks like PanFam was definitely engaged. It doesn't look like a save op. It looks like it was something else, but the numbers don't make sense because it's 300 versus 75, so something's not right. But I did square them up, so you do have groups like Northern Coalition, Pandemic Horde, Pandemic Legion. Ah, here it is. The initiative's on the wrong side. I skipped that one. That's a little more like it. I don't know who College of Ruhu is. I'm going to put him on the other side just in case. Yeah, it makes no difference. Just one guy. So again, you have Northern Coalition, the Horde, Legion. Skeleton Crew has historically aligned with NC Dot. And you have Triumvirate, which also has. And then on the other side, you have Hodgepodge, but mostly it's Goon Swarm Initiative. And Solaris is on the wrong side. Yeah, that's only 5 people. So I don't know. This doesn't make sense why you would drop 300 on 100. But we'll find out. So anyway, that's what happened in Therium Reach. That's why Therium Reach is in the top 3 systems. Top 3 regions for this 24-hour period. Okay, going to low sec, we had the Champions of Low Sec happen the other day. And guess who won that? Snuff won that. I think they took out a Titan, and that put them over the top as far as damage done. So they didn't go by how many ships you killed. I believe they went by how valuable the ships were that were killed. And they took out a Titan, which kind of gave them a huge lead. Otherwise, Penn was probably the group that killed the most ships, if I'm not mistaken. And but they were overtaken when the Titan was killed. And let's see. Most violent systems in high sec. I don't see anything unusual, though. I did participate in a home defense of an Astra house for Ashtarothi and his group of newish players. It was fun to hang out with them. Penn is
How did that go, by the way?
Actually, they managed to have 80 people in fleet, and they were all in a Discord, so it was an impressive showing for them, and it scared away the attackers. But then the attackers put down their own Astra House, I think, and so they're moving in for a longer siege. And there was an opportunity to destroy that Astra House, but I think the invaders formed up really strongly, so Ashtarothi's group stood down. I think that's how it went. So it was kind of a mixed result with more action to come, it looks like. Although if we publicize it, it's a guarantee that it'll continually get attacked over and over again. All right. Well,
there is a reason for the popularity of staging systems to be attacked, mainly because there's a lot of people and you get a fight. But there is also a reason why LXQ and Pandemic Horde's staging system is, well, so violent. The reason that is because LXQ has a sort of blanket policy of no capitals against, small subcap groups. Of course, if you bring like 200 jackdaws, they'll respond to you pretty fiercely, but they generally speaking have a rule of no caps, unlike some of the other alliances and coalitions. And because of this sort of blanket promise of not dropping caps, a lot of, I guess, groups like to target XQ, see what kind of fight they can pick off, what kind of hordeling they can kill, and they will undock and they do respond quite aggressively. Quite a literal horde comes after you. So that's why LXQ is one of the most popular regions and quite a violent one at that.
Yeah, well, that may be true typically, but in that battle that we saw, there was at least 2 Titans and a bunch of capitals involved. So something happened there. I'm not sure what. We'll try to find out. But it's interesting to know that they make that policy so that, I don't know, it benefits somebody's staging system to have people drop by. So,
well, it's a content driver, unlike say DP in Esoteria or 1DQ, where
wait, DP, what is DP?
DPNP7, that would be Test's home system.
Good. Let's explain that stuff so it makes sense to more people.
Okay, so in Goon space you have 1DQ, and in Test space you have DPNP7. These are the staging systems. This is their home system.
Mm-hmm.
And generally speaking, compared to Horde space, LXQ, they will drop capitals, they will drop carriers, super carriers, and dreadnoughts on you if you intrude in their space. And because of this policy, the violence and people intruding there tend to be less popular compared to LXQ.
Yeah. Hey, Trom, how are you doing in there in the audience? Sorry, that's good to know. LXQ, Ethereum Reach, is that Horde's home? I thought it was Rio or some other one.
R10 is another system, but with R10, I'm not sure if they have the policy of no capitals on small groups.
Okay, so it's just that one system that has that policy.
Yes. It's meant to be, I guess, a content driver. It's meant to be to promote people to fight and get content rather than driving them away with carriers.
It's like feeding stray cats and not releasing the dogs on them. which I think is a nice thing to do. But it also brings cats to your house, if that's what you want. Okay, let's go on. Looking at iHubs, I don't see anything surprising here. I'm not aware of anything. Looking at big kills, somebody lost an 11 bill freighter, jump freighter. That's typical. The freighter itself is worth that much. Looks like a Nix went down in period basis. Ooh, by Northern Coalition. They took it out in Goonswarm territory.
Did you already talk about the Victor yesterday? Speaking of big kill.
No. Well, you tell me about it. What is it?
Expensive.
The Victor is,
No, where is it? I don't see it.
it's right there between the two Fortizars. The Victor by Laserhawk. So that would be an Alliance tournament ship.
There it
It's
is.
a Serpentis Alliance tournament Force Recon ship. It's got bonuses to web range and web strength. It has a unique bonus of
Oh god.
bonus to drugs, and it's a very powerful ship.
Thanks for
along with
bringing
being a Force Recon.
It was, yeah. Thanks for bringing it up. This thing was worth $500 billion. This was 535 billion.
It was likely possibly worth more than that, given the low trading rate of those. Conservative estimate, maybe at least.
I would give the estimate bit of around 300 billion, no more than half a trillion. I don't see it going for more than half a trillion, but we say about 300 billion plus. Some of the people that I know, when we saw the kill, we talked about how badly and cheap fit it was for such a expensive and rare ship.
Well, the ship is listed at 230 billion, and that's in question because these are unique ships, which means they sell for whatever anybody wants to pay. So then there's the formal price, but then there's the actual price. As far as what it was carrying around, there was a magnetic field stabilized. That's just 100 million. What is costing so much in the fit? Because
the syndicate damage control and the dead space items, the Gister May type.
Yeah, the damage control is only...
It's not notable, though, compared to the overall price, though, is it?
And the storyline Covert Ops cloaking device, it's really cheap of a fit, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't understand the... Okay, so the ship is worth 230. Oh, I'm sorry, I misread that. It's not $500 billion. That's 535 million dropped. The ship is worth 230. Okay, so it was basically, the fit was nothing. I see what you're saying now. The ship itself was the thing that was worth something, and that was 230 billion. Wow.
It's odd to me that, given the at least comparable cheapness of the modules, they are expensive, no doubt, that they weren't rolled even just to get a little bit more out.
Yeah, this guy, I wonder if he was borrowing it from a friend, just, I don't know what. Okay, so why we're being a little, we're teasing a little bit is because these ships are very rare. They have special abilities that most ships don't. They're enhanced versions of the best type of ship you could get because these are unique and they're rewards for an alliance tournament, for instance, victory. And normally when you have those bonuses, you want to capitalize on them by putting the most exquisite modules on this ship to really get that extra performance out of it. And that isn't the case here. You had good modules, but not phenomenal modules to match the ship itself.
There's only 25 of these in the entire game that will ever exist. And, well, there were surprisingly very few officer mods, very few abyssal mods. In fact, no officer mods and no abyssal mods. And not even that many drugs in the cargo slot, given that it has a bonus to drugs.
Funny you should mention officer mods. Wouldn't you know, the person who lost this one has actually previously lost another Victor, which did have some officer modules on it. 4 Victors have died, and he has died in 2 of them. The first loss was him in 2017, and he had a Tobias and a Hakim's tracking enhancer on there.
Wow. I'm curious how he died, because if you check his previous few kills with that ship in that time slot, he was with a stiletto, and I think that's either his alt or somebody playing with him. We're trying to figure out how he died to this, and we suspect maybe he got scrammed and webbed by the Myrmidon and he was baited, but either way, it was quite surprising that such an awfully fit ship like this and such an expensive one would die to something like that. We were expecting it to be Von Hold, not this though.
Von Hold
Hold.
is like the Red Baron, so it's a verb now that if you get killed by this guy who's like the Red Baron, that you have been Von Hold, because that's his name. All right, so interesting kill, unique kill, and it's a very pricey one. That is very notable. Thanks for bringing it up. I don't think.
I mean, no, overall, props to him for actually using it in combat rather than just storing it as a trophy.
Yeah, when people die a second time in a very, very expensive ship, I think that points to something, right? Like it's either they're ship collectors and that's where all their income goes, or they're just kind of wealthy and they have a lot of collectible items and they like being seen on them. This is very funny. Somebody mentioned this. Like, Dad, I wrecked the Ferrari, says Look Back War. And that's a good way to put it. These are priceless little ships as opposed to the pricey bigger ships. But didn't somebody... There's a guy that has lost two... Speaking of big ships that are expensive and unique, Komodos.
No, two vanquishes within 2 weeks, and that would be Tree Newbie Ribbons. He's also lost a Tiamat, and we're now currently waiting to see how long his newly bought imp will last.
That's it.
Tree Newbie is a senior member of Fraternity and a very wealthy individual.
Oh, I can tell you who's going to be very upset that he has an imp. Is that Baltram, my friend, who is a member of the AT Ship Loss Club, who lost an imp live on stream.
In the tournament?
No,
Oh.
real combat. he got Von Hold, like you say.
Von Hold told a story of actually how he did it. In fact, I believe he made two separate characters and purposely trained one of them and gave it a PvP history just to bait Baltram into thinking it was an easy target.
That's awesome. And so that guy has bought a new ship. So we'll see how long that one lasts, because he's lost 4 or 3 really rare ships. But it doesn't seem to bother him. I mean, he bought... Maybe I'm thinking... No, it is the guy from Fraternity, yeah.
Yeah, it is Tree Newbie Ribbons. He's lost 2 vanquishes so far.
That's it.
Yeah, and a Tiamat.
All right. I think the Komodo that I'm thinking of was actually a pilot from Test, and Fraternity killed the Komodo in this really...
that is correct.
Yeah, interesting fight where basically Fraternity was getting destroyed and leaving, and right at the last second, somebody managed to rope down a very expensive ship called the Komodo, and Fraternity managed to kill it and then extract, and that whole scoreboard went sideways for a Test. They were winning a fight by far, and then one ship was destroyed, and the battle report just completely switched sides, and they were the ones that came out for the worse. Okay.
Tree Newbie has quite a collection of faction titans, I've discovered. I've actually had a vanquisher dropped on me by him. Fortunately, he's got an escort of several other titans and supers, so killing one isn't so easy. Well, sniping another one of his isn't so easy. But he was also trying to sell his Moloch, I think, so that might have been where the money for the imp came from.
Got it. All right. I'm just reviewing videos from the last 24 hours, and it's nice to see there's a lot of YouTube videos that go up. And a lot of them are in Russian. I keep saying that, but it's still surprising to me. EVE Online Story and Gameplay Introduction 2020. I wonder what that is. I'm going to check that out. Some interesting stuff here. Okay. All right, well, I've gone through the topics that I wanted to do. What do you guys have on your mind? Caleb, is there anything out there?
Not seeing anything. Last thing I'm seeing is Champions of Lowsec result from the thing.
Yeah, we did those yesterday. I believe we looked at it yesterday with
I
Billy being here.
liked CCP's wording around Snuffed Out winning. If I remember correctly, they said that they described the Titan kill by Snuffed Out as fortuitously coming across a Titan to kill, which said quite a lot.
What do you think they meant? Decode that for us?
It was one of theirs.
It was they killed their own Titan to win, right? Oh, wow.
Outstanding move. It worked, didn't it?
It did. It put them on top. They get a flag up on CCP headquarters in Iceland.
A second flag on CCP headquarters.
Did they win the Kings of Lowsec before?
You can say yes or no to that question. It's a long, argumentative story.
Why is your Twitter not in dark mode?
What? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, you monster.
Hold on. This is a mistake. I don't know.
There was a massive wormhole fight between Inner Hell and Group and the Singularity. It was quite a fight, and I believe the Singularity and Group have lost, but they did do quite a serious amount of damage to the attackers. Somebody's posted a link into it in chat.
Well, I'm still kind of stunned that they destroyed their own Titan to win the competition. But it's just not surprising if I think about it. But it is what? I guess it couldn't be proved, right?
You're saying they padded it?
Well, I think it came in at the end, so they were losing, and they're like, "All right, somebody sacrifice their Titan," and they kill it. Puts them on top. They win. It was that's pretty deliberate. Display dark mode. Where are you? Dark mode. Yes. Ah, much better. Okay.
I think Dopamine should just hot drop in here and release that dev blog.
Let's see. All right, what else we got here? What the hell? All right, I'm looking at.
Oh!
What? I was sorry. I was looking at.
You just scroll past the bikinis.
Yeah, my Twitter, and my Twitter is full of like. I swear I don't look at that. It just popped up.
Of course you don't.
It just popped up.
It never normally looks like this.
Yeah.
I swear.
I don't know why all the commercials were about bikinis. Dirk McGurk visiting his Twitter. Apparently it was very funny last night. But we'll move on to Tweet Fleets. For those that don't know, Tweet Fleet is the code, the hashtag that EVE players use when they want to communicate with other EVE players. So this is where you're likely to see stuff that is from the players, that is EVE Online related. Here is, can we open that? No. Can do it here. So I think a CCP was winking at Snuffed Out. Here's the line right here. They're winking at him saying the most expensive kill was an Avatar class Titan, which Snuffed Out fortuitously happened upon and destroyed.
I love that wording.
Yeah. There's some winking going on behind that phrase. Thanks for pointing that out. That's good stuff. And that put Snuffed Out on top They are the champions of low sec again. I think they kind of deserve it as far as the reality of the situation. The Snuffed Out is one of the stronger groups, if not the strongest group, that patrols low sec.
A lot weaker than they were perhaps 6 or so months ago, just before they essentially disbanded. But nevertheless, together and strong. Full disclosure, I was a long-term member of Snuffed Out.
I believe they reunited and reestablished themselves just for this event, and I'm not. Are they still around now, or do they plan to disband now that the event is over?
Don't have that kind of insight, but if I take a quick look at their kill,
Is Haiwantu back?
he's there.
Oh, okay, but he's not active.
Given what you said a moment ago, are they going to disband again now that this is done? Maybe we'll say there necessarily rather than back.
Got it.
Well, they've managed to.
So while you look that up, we have
a sacrilege in high sec. Yeah, so
we have a question here. It says, "Who is Snuffed Out a part of?"
they've been with Nobody, then they have been Imperium, and then they've been Nobody. Is what I would say.
That's correct, as far as I know as well. So, Snuffed Out's... Actually, let's talk a little Snuffed Out history, since you were there at one point. Do you know how it formed, what its origins were?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Snuff Box was the corporation, and I joined them just as they were starting to grow and make a name for themselves.
Where did Snuffbox come from? The players there, were they veterans of a different group?
I believe that Donnie Darko, who was the leader at the time, he had been a member, which is a beautiful name, that were just pirates in reasonably heavy ships. They were kind of around before the very beginning of faction warfare, which is what spurred the growth of LowSec. And I joined them just as Snuffbox was becoming notable for using unusually expensive ships for what people would typically use. It was the era of the Drake to begin with, which positioned Snuffbox's absolution fleets as very, very tasty ships to take against Drakes.
So they could distinguish themselves by using a higher quality ship in the era of Drakes.
Bingo, yeah. Also early adopters of triage carriers in low-sec to support things like absolutions or Armageddon Navy issues back during the only time the Armageddon Navy issue was a viable ship.
Yeah, and that was those rules aren't around anymore. But you used to be able to have triage carriers. There were no force auxiliaries, and the triage carriers had the ability to trade. They would basically refit off each other because each of them you had that ability.
Well, any ship within range of another capital ship could refit, even while under a weapons timer. Weapons timers back then weren't a thing. There was an aggression timer, but it was largely functionally similar. So yes, any ship while under a weapons timer could refit when in range of another. So when in range of a capital ship.
Right, and this is illustrated by Rooks and King's Clarion series. I think they go into the mechanics of this, and it was a good way to distinguish yourself as a group of players that were playing at a different level. If you were good at doing that sort of thing.
Absolutely. At the risk of looking like a shameless self-promoter, I do have videos from the time, including a video clip that I could link directly to now of myself crossfitting triage.
Yeah, cool.
Let's pull that clip up, and I can give it to you to post in Twitch if you like.
I'll take it.
There it is. I'll pop it in.
Now, Dunktinkle says that
Discord.
refitting triage was pretty common.
It was very common, and it was very required as well, because you had to essentially choose between generating enough energy with recharges and relays to run your tank and your remote, or there's a link for you there in the voice chat.
But this is not. This was not a common.
Or choosing tank.
I don't remember this being a common practice among bigger alliances. It seemed like it was for fighting outfits that were smaller that needed to have more flexibility.
Squeeze more performance out of what they were bringing.
Right. And you might have a section of a larger alliance, like NC Dot, that would go out and do that, because NC was really good at logistics from carriers.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't remember that being a common practice, because they always had enough. Well, I guess they would go out suited up to be able to change, to be able to work a different situation. So they had more than enough equipment, and they still do. Their doctrines all have 4 fits that they carry with them or more. And, you know, stuff that you, like, they have, like, extenders. These are like shields or armor extenders that are...
sorry, I've linked the wrong thing.
They have like 3 or 4 sets of them in case they burn them out, because they used to overheat their stuff all the time. So they'd get the most use out of it as they could, and then they would refit new extenders on or whatever. So that's kind of how NC used their equipment, as opposed to a group that was 2 or 3 carriers cross-fitting on each other to make sure they can move in and out of logistic cycles. That takes more timing, more expertise. So I think if Snuff was doing that,
helps when the enemy is using just a couple of damage types as well.
So okay, tell us more about Snuff though. So they were using different ships in the Drake era, and this is Snuffbox we're talking about. So how did it form into the alliance?
There are. I can't exactly remember what game change it was that spurred it, but at the time our biggest competitors were Shadow Cartel, who even to this day have died and come back to life, and they are resilient. they come back, and
I always like their name.
Yeah, even though Snuff and Shadow Cartel have had plenty of grief against each other.
Why did they hate each other?
Well, you got to hate your enemy, haven't you? Otherwise, what are you going to log in for?
Were they just the other group that was as good as they were, kind of thing? Or is it just a rival? Yeah.
Bingo.
There wasn't an event that caused the split?
No, it's just there they are, and here we are. So the heavy fighting fish in the pond. They had it was Shadow Cartel's rapid expansion that spurred the creation of Snuffed Out. Being a corporation was no longer going to be enough if our number one competitor was suddenly growing to be 20 or 30 times our size by membership. So we did that, and Snuffed Out had corporations that came and went. Possibly only a very small number which make up the Snuffed Out that eventually would make its name with its very, very heavy capital and super capital fleets.
Yeah. You ended up picking up a group called Elna that I was familiar with. They were part of Nelly Segunda, I think.
Bingo.
They played a special role in Nelly Segunda's history, because the Elna were kind of rowdy guys on the forums, but they had a lot of players, and they would be active. They would show up and do stuff. So they were desired by the leadership, but they really wreaked havoc on the culture of Nelly and changed it really. But they also, the director from Elna was the guy that totally dropped Sov for a couple of Nully's side alliances, the one that held the renters and the one that held the new players that were trying out for Nully.
A very, very greasy move. I don't think that that was It's quite a common feature in Snuffed Out is greasy moves.
Yeah. So they did that, and then what's interesting is that most of them went out of the because the corporation left. They weren't going to stick around for that. They took a bunch of money and they left. But some of them stayed behind. But eventually, they all kind of went over to. It turns out they went over to Snuffed Out. I don't know when I don't know when they went to Snuffed Out. They might have been in the wilderness for a while, but they ended up being there.
I wouldn't exactly be sure as to their reasons for joining, but they made up a very, very important part of Snuffed Out going onwards. Most notably, High 1-2. He was an Elnor guy.
Was he?
And yeah, absolutely. He was Elnor. He brought a huge amount to to Snuffed Out, eventually leading the coup against Donny and taking over Snuffed Out and pushing it forwards, giving it even more success, giving it more goals, giving it a bit more of a more reliable leadership over Donny's flakiness.
What was this? What was the fight about for leadership? Was it just that sort of thing? You're not active enough. You're being flaky. So we need someone more.
We could ponder on that for a long time. But my personal view would be that Donny would lead the alliance for a couple of weeks, go AFK for a month, leaving High to run the whole show, and then he would come back and completely take over again for 2 weeks, and then leave it for High again, which was possibly not too fair on High for all the hard work he'd been doing.
Right. So he'd stabilize it, and then the guy would come back and reclaim it. Yeah, that would be hard to do over and over again. Interesting. So I want to then took over Snuff, and Snuff eventually became what it is known for today, which is being able to crush just about any other group in LowSec. They just have that hardware. They have that commitment.
It's too much. I mean, I'm not a member of Snuff. I haven't been a member of Snuff for some time, so it's kind of my personal opinion, really, that Snuff still operates today. They are clearly having a great time. I feel like they kind of overfish their own pond. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and that was a big complaint there. Like groups in Faction War and Nullsec would be having a pretty good time. They'd be excited about something, and then Snuff would show up, and they would be like, "Ugh, party's over. We don't have enough to beat these guys."
Even got to be on the receiving end
right?
a while ago as well, when it was no handlebars that the corporation I'm with was part of. Yeah, they're kind of semi-reformed for the last probably longer than 6 months as Same Great Taste. Definitely still with Baltram in charge, doing a really good job. But there was a time in No Handlebars where we were fighting, I believe it was, if I remember correctly, it was dock workers. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But after we had kind of finished the capital fight with dock workers, and both sides were kind of limping but still on the grid, it was lovely to see Snuff come in at the end and just finish all of us off, and then smart bomb my slave pod.
Oh, your slave spot. So those are slaves or plugins. You're probably high grade, right? Because you're a low sec fighter.
I was at the time. I roll mids these days, and only when I need to.
Yeah. So getting your pod destroyed in low sec is a little rarer than it is having it destroyed in null sec. So you want to dress up a little bit better. You want to invest a little bit more because it has more survivability. So if they wrecked your slaves, they were probably pretty expensive. Each of those can cost 120 million, and you have to put 5 in. I think it gets to like half a billion in slaves, or does it get all the way up to 1 billion?
I can just pull up my pod loss and tell you what Zed Killboard estimates it for the time.
This is funny. MD5, while you're looking that up, says mid grades. You just lost my vote for CSM.
I'm not made of money. That's the problem.
Yeah. So you
I
gotta
was
wear
at one point, but I spent it now, haven't I?
if you're going out, you gotta wear a tuxedo.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, those are.
Yeah, I think that Snuffed Out still have a lot of a lot of story left to tell. I think that the tools that CCP has put in the game at the moment, be them ship structures and things like, possibly allow people to too easily overfish.
Yeah. Well, thanks for telling us a bit about Snuffed, some of the origins, answering some of the questions. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
That's good stuff. Normally, we get someone like Haiwantu to describe a thing that happened, but we don't go into the history very much and usually when a leader tells history, it's, they're probably so overwhelmed with just creating something or growing it that they're not really looking at the details that we like from members.
2.3 billion ISK.
2.3 billion ISK for high grade slaves? Or that's how much your
I
pod
believe
was
they're
worth.
more expensive now.
Are they? They went up? Oh, wow. That's great. So that's a lot. So when I said it was 500 million, totally underestimated the price of those things. I think they're quite a bit of money. So to get your pod destroyed kind of sucks.
Yeah, well, it happens. I'm no stranger to deliberately smart bombing pods myself. So, you live by the sword, you die by the...
That's usually how they do it. Yeah. Because they're hard to catch.
Have you seen one of the most popular things that have taken up a lot of small gang groups and their players by storm? The Singularity 5v5 scrims. I believe I mentioned it before.
The first rule of the 5v5 is we don't talk about the 5v5.
The second rule is it's so popular. That and the healer, obviously. But the other thing that somebody pointed out to me was Hydra Reloaded, or Code, or whichever name they go by. We call them Triglavian ERPers at one point, but they have went an entire day where none of them did anything because of just how addicting Singularity 5v5s are.
It's not just the 5v5, it's the whole drafting concept, and then the fitting timers and the bans. I mean, it's like the whole aspect of the whole 5v5 is really, really unique.
And the people you get to fly with and the people that you get to fly against, it's incredible.
The 5v5 turn. What? Rich, why don't you go into that? We have some time here. What happened with the, Champions League tournament that was just on? And how did the 5v5 get started? What? Tell us about what happened there. And let me see if I can get something. Do you have a link that I can point to?
Adam, do you happen to have anything? Have a link?
Sorry, I'm on the phone. Hold on.
Very well. Hold on a moment.
Where'd my Twitter go? Here it is. What? Oh no.
All right, hold up. Check your... So this was the April tournament where the finalists were Aureus Porculus, who is part of New Order Outreach Division, Hydra Reloaded, Goran Clade, and Kavegi, part of the Corps of Hymen, Flaming Dragons. And it resulted in a rather nuanced ending, is the best way to put it, because he accidentally boundaried and lost in the final.
So he goofed up and lost in an unceremonious way.
Very unceremonious, but we had some very incredible fights during leading up to it. The one with VLD versus Aureus was one of the most popular ones, and the semi-finalists were also great. There were some incredible turnarounds at the last moment. Now, due to the not so great ending and the stress from setting everything up, the 2v2s were postponed for another month, but there will be another tournament up as soon as DTM is well rested and able to continue. But after that, some people in the small gang community got together, and due to the success of the competitive scene and the high level play and the small gang the small gang gameplay being popularized, they decided, well, what if we were able to set up some kind of AT format scrim on Singularity with the points and the banning systems and the set teams and various different rules. And for the last week, a lot of discussion, a lot of balancing has been based around it.
If you look in voice chat, you can kind of see the format. So basically, the way it's been working is a little bit. We have 2 teams of 5, and you have a team cap. Team captains go back and forth, and they pick 3 bands, and then they have their regular picks, and then 2 more sets of bands, and then the regular picks, and they have a maximum 100-point limit. The ships have different point values, and they've been adjusting them as the meta starts to form. They try and balance it out. And the cool thing about it is you have a chess timer for the team captain. So you basically have a 5-minute timer to pick your ships and bands. And then after that 5-minute timer, you basically have 15 minutes to basically fit up your doctrine ships or your comp ships. And so it tests not only your strategy beforehand with the picks and bands, but it also tests your fitting and theory crafting. And then obviously at the end of that, you have your 10-minute match. So it tests your piloting skills. So it's a really, really, really dynamic and really stressful PvP 5 vs 5. It's a lot of fun. If you watch it, you'll see like how fun it actually is. Like in 2 days.
Is this rule set anywhere written?
It's kind of like AT rules. So you'll see like on that screenshot on the left hand side, there's like some basic rules. It's a 125 kilometer grid. You warp in at no more than 50 kilometers from 2 different sides, red side, blue side, and then you basically duke it out.
There are certain rules: no recons, no unique ships, so don't bring your Singularity AT ship. No T2
implants,
logistics
no
cruisers, drugs boosters, no Triglavian ships, no T2 rigs. Just a lot of things to make the fight, very fun and interesting rather than one that becomes stale and dull and just unfun to play with or against.
Yeah.
Because of this, we've seen some very different picks. In the tournament, we've seen people pull out some guns that aren't bonused. We've seen modules that aren't bonused either, but all of these things that make it very fun and very, very unique to play with.
In a period of like 3 days, they've gone from I think 20 people in the Discord to several hundred, and they had 100 viewers yesterday on the stream.
So if I'm looking at this correctly, you've taken the old Alliance tournament point value system and you've heavily expanded it, correct?
Heavily expanded, yeah. And then
So this is 5v5, so you get what, 100 points?
100 points, and then the band pick style I think is based off of Dota.
Yeah, it looks very much like a Dota, LoL, whatever draft system.
Even with
seems actually quite interesting.
It's really interesting, and we've had a lot of people AT captains and pilots doing a lot of the skirmishes and testing, and even with those great minds, and I put those in quotes, there still hasn't been a meta that's been formed. When some people think a particular meta is it just gets dunked on a couple matches later when someone figures out something else. So it's really, really been fascinating to watch from a theory crafting standpoint.
So if I'm reading this correctly, on the sheet you just listed there, or you're showing there, their first band was a Gila followed by a Balgorn.
Yes.
Yeah. Some of the stronger performing ships are the drone ships. The Gila has been pretty powerful. The Worm has been pretty powerful. But they get hard countered also by other ships Typhoon, Fleet Issue Typhoon as the 2 main ships, and some of the comps have been really strong against those ships just because the raw DPS they can put out on some of those non-sig tank ships.
So just going through the rules, why no recon?
That I'm not too sure of. I can guess. I'm not sure why they banned it completely, but I think the reasoning was behind it was that the E-War and the bonuses are just too strong. Like, for instance, the Hugin would kind of be overpowered in that sense. I'm sure they're going to add them later once they figure out more balancing and then how to work the point system. Just like Triglavian ships are completely banned right now, they'll probably integrate those at a later time. Like, one of the most powerful ships right now is like the Crucifier. The Crucifier gets banned probably more often than any other ship.
And certain unique ships like the Marshal or the Nestor, because of their very unique place in EVE Online and its gameplay, the niche that it fills and the sheer power it projects, it's almost impossible to play around it or deal with it. So they would either have to be extremely expensive to the point where it's overpoweringly expensive, or they just become too much of a menace on the field. They're, after all, ships that are known to be very good at anything.
Yeah, I mean, even with some of the ships banned, like the recons and the trig ships and the uniques and stuff like that, I mean, there's still such a huge, like a 200 ship list of ships you can go through and select. It has not become stale at all, and like I said, there's no meta just yet, so it's been really unique and fun to watch to see what kind of comps people are coming up with.
So you do a draft for your ships, then you have 15 minutes, you said, to fit those.
Yep, you've got 15 minutes to fit them all up.
Some of us have ships pre-fit, but there's a wide variety of players that have played. There's been players who have 0 AT experience at all and only a bit of small gang, to people who've played multiple AT tournaments and they're master theory crafters. So there's always somebody that, may bring something new to the table or have something to learn. And so far, the fights have been actually quite interesting and quite balanced. There's been unique scenarios where equal ships have been fielded, and it's all down to the individual player's tactics and the right calls to make, and what kind of ship fitting is made.
And then before each match, like after the draft, during the stream, they'll put up a vote system where you can do a straw poll voting. And so there's been a lot of upsets. You've had a lot of people, very experienced, small gang PvPers, and you have these votes where it's like 25 votes for blue and 5 for red, and then red comes out the winner. Because even though, let's say on paper the comp looks like one side has the advantage, sometimes piloting can be a huge factor and can change the outcome of a fight. So it's been really exciting to watch. Like, I highly encourage you to check it out today if you can.
Yeah, let's review that. What's this called, and where do people engage with it?
So there's a Discord server called 5vs5 Eve Scrims. You can get access to it by watching the stream. It's probably going to go up today. Usually it's around 1800 Eve time, and I think right now they haven't had like pre-drafted teams. They're just kind of getting piles together, and then people are just picking from those pilots for testing. But I think the first official matches will start this Sunday.
Drop a link in.
I'll take
Twitch
a
if you can.
link, Adam.
Yeah, okay.
Cool. Thanks for telling us about it. We'll ping it when it. Well, we won't ping it, but we'll put it in TIS when it starts.
I'm not sure obviously the goal is for fun, but I think a big push is to kind of have CCP kind of get some noticing, or to notice it, to try and help them develop some better tools since there's no AT, to basically give the players the tools needed to run tournaments better. So like there's been a lot of development and involvement from the people who are organizing the event for getting it set up on CC, like the grid and the overviews, and getting the ships seeing like their EHP and health and tracking them and stuff. It's very hard to do without any specialized tools like that CCP can develop or has. But the commentary is 10 out of 10. You've got Wild Things, who's a phenomenal PvPer and really insightful. And he has been casting the fight
Oh, cool. What's his name? Wild Things?
Wild Things, yeah. And then he's also casting with trying to remember his name.
Geronix.
Geronix, yeah. And Geronix is very knowledgeable as well. I mean, he's got very charismatic personality on comms, very fun to listen to, watch, and he's set up a lot of the visual aspect of the stream. Lucas as well.
Yeah, that sounds great. We'll check this out. 5v5. Is that what it's called?
5v5. There's a good chance that people are going to be doing more mock drafts today, mock fights as well. So there's a good chance the stream will be up.
I believe that was the original Alliance tournament was 3-on-3. It was 1 frigate, 1 cruiser, 1 battleship. But I think it settled with 5. I want to say pretty soon after that. So 5v5 is a good sized group combat.
Yeah, I think to give credit to where credit's due, I think the whole concept was created by, I believe, Casper, Generix, Lucas, Amelia, and Wild. I think are the people that started the
These are AT.
concept idea.
These are Alliance tournament fighters, right?
I believe most of them are.
Yeah, Casper's.
Well, Casper's not a fighter. He's a boundary pilot.
He fights boundaries.
Casper's a boomer, but no, he's a AT player, one of the I guess senior members of Hydra Reloaded, and well, they've gone by many names. Amelia used to fly with us, and he's currently flying with Casper and his group, and they're all quite a few of them have, I guess, ties to the Amamake Police Department group that was known for small gang and flying very expensive and often AT ships.
Yeah, they have still a Keepstar, don't they, in Amamaki?
Let me see if I can get Casper in here to talk more about it. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
you can grab him.
He was in Twitch chat earlier.
We're waiting on CCP to drop they're teasing us with
How do I get an invite link?
it's at the very top. Can somebody help him out with an invite link?
I'll get you an invite link,
Yeah.
Adam.
Do you have Casper's PM? Or just use main PM?
I have Casper's main.
I'm chatting with him right now.
So CCP is teasing us with a possible dev blog dropping. So we're kind of hanging around seeing what that is, if it drops in time for us to talk about it.
They're releasing a new hat and they want everybody to be excited about it.
Probably not a hat, but...
Okay, maybe that's a bit cynical.
Maybe.
I've sent it to him, Adam.
Okay, perfect.
All right, hopefully we get Casper in here to continue to talk about this 5v5 tournament that's put together by players. It looks really interesting. You guys put some thought into this.
Did they record yesterday's stream? Because that was they have some amazing fights yesterday in that one.
I'll see if I can get yesterday's stream's timestamp.
So,
In terms of how fascinating, I can talk it up how good it is. I think I'm really underselling. You have these people who have been literally streaming it and playing it for 20 hours straight for the last 7 days because of how fun it's been. It's really, really fun to watch.
yeah, Dronix says that we have the wrong sheet up, or it's the old sheet.
Yeah, it's the old sheet. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this goes on daily?
Just started this past week, and a lot of it was just originally just testing the sheet and doing mock drafts, and then they actually started doing the fights, and now it's exploded just over the last 2 days. It's absolutely nuts.
Have we figured out how to bet on teams?
Soon TM.
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like Casper might be hopping in.
He's on the TIS server now. Casper.
There he is.
Hello,
Casper,
Casper.
how are you not on TIS?
I think he was at one time.
I might have been a little while ago.
Yeah. How's it going, Casper? We've talked before.
How's it going, sir? It's
Tell
not
us.
bad over here.
Yeah. Tell us about your tournament here.
So this was just a little thing, a couple of us old bitter vets were really missing the 80s, and we're kind of into Dota, and we're like, I wonder if we can, kind of implement this in just kind of a fun theorycraft way to kind of mix Dota draft plus AT and make it kind of so there's not a barrier of entry for just someone that wants to go have a fight like AT is. You practice one comp for 4 months straight and you have it bulletproof down, and that is a huge barrier of entry for anybody who wants to be competitive. So we're like, well, Dota, you can show up, you can draft, you can fight, and it's pretty fun, and there's still skill matchups, and it's really deep for the people who want to go try hard. But the people that just want to show up and play, go on, throw a ship together, and go have some fun with your bros. And only 5 people, that's not very hard to get. It's like a gate camp. So you can just go and have some fun. And it turned it out just like 3 of us, we just sat one night till like 2 a.m. creating an equal points value for things and comps that we thought were even. And then Gerald helped us out with a spreadsheet and did a lot of work on the back end. And it's really freaking fun. And this thing started with like, 5 or 6 of us. And now there's like 200 people involved in this. And it just freaking took off.
Wow.
Link the video. Link the video.
I linked the
alright.
video to you in DMs. It's at the timestamp it begins.
No, I meant like the commercial that they played during League matches.
Oh,
Gotcha.
yeah.
I'll see if I can find it. Do you have a video?
I don't have the intro video. Casper, do you have that?
I'm looking for it.
I think I'd have to poke Gerald for that moment.
Well, that's cool. Anyway, I think it's ingenious. You guys are, without the CCP really backing an alliance tournament right now, you guys are creating your own things, whether it be the 1v1 from the championship series to what you guys are doing here. It's interesting to see that organically grow. And again, from a few people, a handful of people to 200 people on a Discord, that's pretty fast. Because that's like overnight. I mean, that was quick.
It was super quick. Again, this was just meant to be like just a theory crafting. Hey, let's draft some ships and then talk about what we think would win here. And then, hey, let's try this in Sissy to, oh my word, every AT captain that's been in the top 10 in the last 5 years is on here building 5 stacks and teams and coming on. And it's just, wow, this is, not to toot my own horn against CCP, but this is kind of, hey, AT is needed. Like, look how fast this grew. Just a huge explosion. And we can run this on our own and just have some fun. So pretty easy for them to do something way better than we could ever do it with, a Google Doc and 5 friends.
Yeah, looks like I have some neat graphics here for this
On the
trailer.
video. You know what I think
Yeah,
you
looks
should
pretty
do,
good.
Casper? Why don't you and Manor will go head to head right now with the draft table? Go through it step by step.
Game if you want to, sir.
Oops, I muted myself. I'm game, whatever it is. Let's see.
All right, give me a second. I'll give you a ready to go sheet. And so on the right, once I give you the sheet, will be the points. And you have to stay under 100 points. And that's really the only rule. If you pick it or I pick it, the other person cannot pick it. So just like if you've watched League or Dota, as soon as a hero or ship is picked, it's off the table for everybody. Here, I'll DM you the sheet here.
All right, thanks.
There you go.
Put that up on screen.
And then make sure you click into the draft tab.
One second. Is that the right one? Yeah, I think that's it.
An interesting question in the Twitch chat there. Neff saying, you think this sets a precedent for CCP not bringing back the AT and instead moving with this notion to hand the tools over to player groups. My opinion, if the full tools to do it properly could be handed to players who were going to take it seriously and the same thing could be done by the players, why not?
Yeah, honestly, if we had just, Thunderdome access, we can do every single other piece of this on our own. It takes no effort from them. They just have to have Thunderdome running.
It'd be very nice for, and there are opinions all over the place about it, but for some form of unique, valuable prize to be provided by CCP to hand out. I feel that ups the ante, ups the drama a bit, and then adds flavor as people use and lose them occasionally in PvP in the game. I would love to see that continue.
All right, so I see that you have the sheet up. So quick, no recons, no Tech 2. RR is only allowed on one ship, and Triglavian ships are broken and banned.
They are broken. Okay.
Just in this kind of format
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the points in their thing, they're just so broken that they're banned.
Let's get somebody who's more practiced than I am, because I'm having trouble engineering and doing this. So we'll put that
So
sheet.
each, you just go down the sheet in your column. So you would click on the down arrow on your drop down since you're band 1 and figure out a ship that you just
got
don't want to see fought.
There it goes. Okay.
So you banned Dami, so I'm going to go and I don't want
Wait,
to
that was
see
an
an
accident.
S. Oh, okay.
There.
Rattle. That's a good ban. Strong shield.
Yeah. So I don't see Rattlesnake, and so you go next, and you don't want to see a Navy issue, Scorpion.
Correct. Yep. And then it's you're up, band 3.
Where is it?
And when we do this live, we have a speech. So we'll have 5 minutes each side, countdowning, and a switch back and forth, just like chess for this.
So
it's a little bit of a time constraint.
What kind of strategies going on here in the banning? Describe
So
what you would look for.
As blue side, I don't have overall first pick. So I'm literally just banning your first pick right here. But I do have last overall pick. So I would kind of keep open, a pocket strat golem, maybe a vindicator type of thing. So since I can counterpick, I have to save some points for that very final last pick. In my opinion, in this draft, Gila with Tech 2 drones is the most broken ship. So that's going to be my next ban since you have overall first.
So Caleb just asked me to hop in. So if you want to catch me up on what we're talking about, I'd appreciate it.
We just need you on standby to do the Fonsui bot reading.
That's for...
apparently CCP are fans, so they kind of wanted you if in case they're actually going to drop that dev blog in a bit.
Yeah, they might drop a dev blog, but we'll wait to see if they do or don't. Let's go back to this thing where we're picking... Casper and I are picking things to ban in this tournament so that, for people that don't understand the banning and its strategic importance, can you describe that?
Sure. So I'd come into this with kind of an idea in mind what I want to run. There's a lot of battleships that have been banned off the bat here. So that frees up me to bring a bunch of lighter, like Navy ships, like a Navy Brutix and a Navy Harbinger, because those get countered pretty hard from heavy battleships. So that's kind of where I'm feeling I'm going here. So then my next ban is going to be another big battleship, depending on what you pick here.
So how many ships get banned?
So there will be 5 bans on each side, so 10 total ships will be able to be banned. That was a really, really, really good ban there, even though you heard what I said, a Schlep was going to be a core that provides lots of DPS. It's really fast and it provides links. Links are really, really powerful in this format.
So I see on the left it says no triangles. So is that the only class of ship that is just off the table outright?
Recons and Tech 2 Cruiser Logi are also banned outright.
Tech 3 cruisers as well, so no
Correct.
low keys, none of that nonsense. No
Gotcha.
nesters, no marshals, and because of no recons, this also covers the Concord recon.
Correct.
Gotcha. No nesters, no marshals, no Tech 2 Logi,
wait.
no Triglavian ships.
All right.
No implants of
No
any
recons.
way. This is just super basic. Come on, have some fun and a little brawl with your friends.
All right. I'll crowdsource the rest of these.
Just me, or is Matterall really quiet?
That's me.
As a viewer, one of and also having done this once or twice in an actual fight, one of the most exhilarating aspects of it is the time constraint. You have 5 minutes, which sounds like a lot, but it's when you're third pick in and you have 45 seconds left, you're sweating hard.
Bring the Talking in Stations theory crafting team, Matterall.
I know. I love this. So what's my next pick, guys? I'll look at chat. It's kind of fun. It's like tic-tac-toe.
It really is. You've jumped into this with no, watching this or hearing about it. So the first couple drafts we did, it took us an hour and a half on each side to figure out what we want. Because there's a lot going on. You have to figure out your points and what kind of architect you want to do. So it does take a little bit of thinking.
All right, I'm doing the worm next.
What, on camera?
So just
they're not on
just no Garistas ships apparently.
They're not alphabetical, so it's hard to find them.
You can just start typing and it will auto-populate.
Good.
As long as you're doing it in the green box, yeah.
All right. That's awesome.
So worm is actually a really smart pick. That counters Logi I'd want to do because those drones just apply so well. And you could do an armor or shield worm, so you've hidden any indication of what you want to do. So unknowingly or not, you've actually picked a really good first pick here.
I have a really good one.
Unknowingly.
When you get to it.
So now it's Casper's turn to pick. He picks a Brutix Navy issue to ban.
No, these are picks. So these are what you'll actually be fighting.
Sorry.
So you'll be fielding a worm, and I'm going to be fielding a Brutix and a Harb Navy, which also bans them because there can be no duplicate ships. So those are out of availability for you to pick.
I would either grab or ban an Osprey Navy issue.
No. Well, we have to go in order though, right?
Yeah, it's your pick next. You have 2 picks, pick 4 and 5.
So these are 2 ships that I would want to fight in, and he's picked Brutix Navy and Harbinger Navy.
Yeah, Osprey Navy is incredibly powerful.
Against his Brutix and Harbinger? Well, okay, we'll do it for fun.
Get some of the big FCs from Nullsec. I'd like to certainly see them field a team of a smaller size and theorycraft one.
Okay, I need one more pick.
We've had some fun grudge matches: NC versus PL, Tuskers versus Hydra, some of the big, old school tournament teams, and it's been really fun to watch how they theorycraft against each other.
Oh, I like that. If I put in Navy, it gives me the whole list of Navy ships. So that kind of works out.
And keep an eye on your remaining points down below.
So you can say I have 76 remaining points.
Another powerful ship to have or ban is a Balgorn.
I want to. So I got a worm, an Osprey. Give me my next.
Which
pick.
Navy are you trying to do there?
I was just looking at Navy. Actually, let me.
Oh.
I was showing that if you type in Navy, it brings up all the ships that are Navy.
They want you to grab a Typhoon fleet issue.
That's good.
And I definitely think that a Balgorn is a solid pick for either, taking it or banning it.
All right, so the yellow, I'm banning him from using those ships. So that, for me, for some reason, was easier. So the Worm, Osprey, and Typhoon. He's picked an Armageddon, Harbinger, and a Brutix.
And it's your turn to ban. You can look at my points. I only have 15 points left, so that gives you an idea of things that you can ban.
So smaller ships that cost less points are what you're likely to pick.
Chat thinks that I'm stupid, apparently.
Well,
yeah,
okay.
Apparently I'm not good at this game now.
Well, I'm not either. So here's the strategy is you pick the first few that you don't want to face. And for me, the Sleipnir is always the most dangerous DPS ship in a tournament. So that's one of the picks that I had.
That's very smart, actually. That's a good read on that. It's very true.
Thanks. And so he does the same to me. So there's stuff that he just doesn't want to face. And that's the first 3 picks on both our sides. Then we go to 3 ships and we alternate back and forth on what we want to fly. And we can't obviously use anything that they picked as banned, our opponent picked as banned. And so at this point, we're picking our fleets with the green. And you can see he's now picked Brutix, Harbinger, Armageddon. I've picked the Worm, the Osprey, and the Typhoon. And now it's my turn to ban ships, but he's got 15 points left, which means he's going to only be able to pick small ships because the bigger ships are worth more points. So my ban 7 and my ban 9 are going to be small ships to try to figure out what he would augment what he's picked already with, and I'm trying to block him from doing that. Does that sound about right?
Correct. And I don't know if you can see it or not. If you scroll a little bit to the right on your screen, the point values are laid out. I don't know what you're actually looking at versus the Twitch stream.
You're talking about the remaining points at the bottom, or
on the right side? There's something called reference guide.
Got it.
It shows the number of points each thing's worth.
So the blue and the red, basically. Okay, so
all the way on the right-hand side. So the point values are not shown on screen right now.
Got it. Okay, so I'm going to pick something small that I think would enhance this.
No, you're being coached by some very skilled players in chat, Matterall.
Yeah, I'm going to take advantage of that. Actually, Punisher is a new sexy ship.
All right.
But I'm afraid of, well, let's see. I'm kind of afraid of destroyers. But I'm going to...
They're telling you, they're telling you the Deacon is what to get rid of.
Okay, so instead of looking at it on that list, which you can do, I'm just going to type it.
The Deacon is 16 points, and I only have 15 left, so I think that's not a good ban.
It's impossible for him to get the Deacon, in other words. So let's look. How can I tell how much you point? Oh, it's on the right. In the battle. See, okay, so here's where I can see how much things are worth. So that gives me a list. Yeah, and I'm afraid
you only have to look at the tactical destroyers and down for banning.
Well, he's got 2 more picks, so he's not going to blow 15 points on one. So he's going to... I have a feeling he'll do, 2 7 or 8s, and I'm afraid of stealth bombers usually. Although I'm kind of small ships. Or assault frigates. But he can do...
Stealth bombers is a good ban here. The Manticore has spare mids that I could put missile guidance disruptors. And your Osprey and Typhoon are both missile ships, so I could missile guidance disrupt them down. So stealth bomber's not the worst idea.
Thank you for that tip from Pro.
So you are correct. I can only do small stuff left, so I have to ban something that can apply well to my small ships. So I think I'll come over here and I'm gonna ban. I'll ban a Sentinel. That gets rid of any tracking disruptors that you want to do to my 2 turret ships and any newts to my frigates.
So let's see. The last ban will be for me. Actually, I'll leave it up to people out there. Hyena, or Easy Hyena ban for Casper. Purifier, Dworm, non-spray, suicide. I like reading these comments.
Hold up. Well, be very careful with these choices, gentlemen.
I like seeing the diversity, but what I am afraid of in tournaments is that, let's see. Oh, I don't know. Let's say there. So that's all for my bans. I can't ban any other ships.
You have 40 points left, but you could technically still do like a Navy Mega and run at me, or even a Typhoon.
So this is his thinking out loud, I think.
I don't think I want to see a Typhoon running at me. That seems kind of scary. It's capless DPS, so my Geddon does no good if it newts out. So I'm going to ban a Typhoon. And I'm going to pick a Crucifier, which is all missile guidance disruptors in my mids.
Okay, so I have 2 more picks for ships that I want to use. I have 40 points. Here's the menu over here on the right as far as size of ships and how many points they cost. I've picked a Worm, Osprey, and Typhoon. So I need to find ships that complement that he hasn't already banned. Suggestions? And this one I'll give to the audience. So I don't know if you've noticed, but his logic is multiple times more detailed than my logic. I'm practically picking names that I like.
Again, we've been doing this for like 5 days straight, probably 20 hours a day, just trying to get our AT fix in.
All right, so I'm going to pick first one I see here, the Carries. I got 40 points though. That's a small ship. But we'll just pick it.
That leaves you with 28 points left. You can pick anything from a battlecruiser Navy faction down.
Okay, so my last pick, and then he gets his last pick, is... I'm probably going to go big because I need to fill in as many points as possible. You don't want to leave points on the table if you
Correct.
Don't have to. You want to use as many... It's just like fitting. You want to get right up to that, everything is used moment or point. So I have 28, and that puts me at a Navy just out of reach. I can't do a Black Ops or command ship or a battleship. Those are all 29, 31, 33 points. So I can do a battle cruiser or smaller. So I'm looking for a battle cruiser. Preferably a Navy. All right, guys. So I'm looking for a Navy battle cruiser or a battle cruiser that fits this Worm, Osprey, Typhoon carries. Yeah.
They want you to take a Hurricane Fleet issue, which you won't see if you type the name Navy.
Oh, I can do fleet issues. That's right.
Yeah.
How are those
That's
different?
good.
No, they're the same. They're the Navy ships. It's just it's the
It's just
Republic
called-
Fleet
Okay.
instead of the Republic Navy.
Oh,
But
I
yeah,
see. Yeah.
and but they're also suggesting that you take the Navy Drake as opposed to a Hurricane Fleet.
All right.
The Navy Drake has a great application bonus, which is really handy.
And then you get a link
And,
for your entire fleet. That's really useful also.
Yep, and
Good call, guys.
It's no damage lock, which is good too.
Okay, so I'm done picking, and he gets his last pick. Now, are you saving your last pick as a surprise, or?
Because I only have 8 points here, no. I kind of blew my load early with my Brutix Harb Geddon Core. Now I'm just I'm going to do a Punisher is a really, really good armor frigate just to run at you and tackle something for the Geddon Harb and Brutix to kill. And if you want to waste time shooting a Punisher, I'm kind of okay with that. So it's kind of a free thing to run at you, tackle maybe your Typhoon Fleet or Osprey, full tackle with Nosses in the highs so you can't nude it out. And then it Scrims web saying Osprey Navy or Typhoon Fleet for my 3 cores to shoot at. While the Crucifier is sitting way far behind with missile guidance disruptors, so you can't really shoot the Crucifier and your application isn't as good on any of my other ships.
Right. So this is how much do other team members play into this? Or is this a team captain's picking, or are they conferencing with each other saying, what should we do?
So how we've been doing it is we'll go and we'll do a coin flip after we just randomly choose captain. And then the 2 captains get to choose if they want to choose a player first out of whoever wants to play or side. And then we'll draft players, just alternatively right, left. And then we'll split into those 2 groups of 5, and just the teams do it as a team event. They will draft together. And then again, it's a chess timer. We did this really, really slow, obviously, because a lot to fathom for your first time. So then this is, a 5-minute really quick thing. And then as soon as we're done, like we just are, Jero or myself or whoever is hosting will pop in and say, all right, boys, you got 20 minutes. And so from right now, you have 20 minutes to come up with a fit for every single ship here and then show up on grid. And it's really, really stressful to do this all in 20 minutes.
So what you're doing at this level when you start is you're picking like ships that, just as for people that don't understand EVE Online even that well, you're picking ships that work well together, and then you have 5 minutes to do that, and you're picking and blocking back and forth. So you want to block him from key components of different types of theories of how ships work together. So if you have groups of ships that are shield, and they have one or 2 ships that are critical to that cohesiveness, those are the blocks that you want to put onto him to break up his planning. And he's doing the same thing to you or to me. And when we get done with this, we only have 5 minutes to do it, so you already have to know theory. You could tell by some of the decisions that he was making how deep the theory goes on what those ships are and what the mid slots on a ship will bring you as far as value, that sort of stuff. You might even have to consider what can my team actually fly. Although most of these guys that fly in tournaments, they have all the skills for all the ships and all the modules, usually.
Well, we have a lot of players who are veteran players playing in this series and format, and a lot of them have Titan alts or super carrier alts, or they used to be part of a big Nullsec alliance and was required to support them by flying these kind of ships, and they're very willing to buy extractors on CC, which are pretty much free, and they'll extract their old Titan skills, which are of no use here. So people who are who have Titan alts who are bored in Nullsec, who don't
Mhm.
can't really fly the smaller ships can come here to have a lot of fun, and it's always appreciated when people can extract 200 skill injectors to help
Okay.
out people and
Well,
inject their skills around.
those are
Yeah.
the rich guys with reserves. But yeah, so
Yeah, but even
Yeah, go
with
ahead.
that being said, though, I mean the sheet is kind of like an open format. Like
Mhm.
even as a Google document, you can copy it and create it as your own. So like let's say a corp like ours, where we do have some new bro pilots who, let's say, are 30 million SP or less, they can go ahead and take the same sheet and say, hey, instead of 100 points, let's do 75 points or 50 points, and we'll keep it down to like destroyers, cruisers, and frigates. So you can still take the same format, the same tactics, and just have a more SP friendly fight.
Yeah, what you're doing here, again, is picking the groups of ships that are theoretically good together, and you're picking and blocking, so it's a little bit of a chess match. You have 5 minutes to do that. And then, once that happens, you have to figure out how best to load out these ships, what to put on them, and that you have 20 minutes to get all the ships prepared and to get in there and to fight, I imagine. After 20 minutes, that's when the fight starts?
Yeah, 20 minutes. You need to be on grid on either side of our arena. We have a 125 kilometer radius arena, just like the AT. And as soon as you're there, you warp in at any range from 0 to 50, and then it's a 10-minute long fight. Whoever has the most points left on the grid after 10 minutes wins.
Yeah, points are, again, each ship is worth points, so if you have the most points as far as ships intact, not destroyed, then you win. Well, this is really cool. You can really see the dimensions of this.
Some of the low SP ships, ships that are seen as, even the Tech 1 frigates are some of the most banned and most picked ships in this series. Like the Punisher is one of the strongest ones, along with the Crucifier. The Crucifier is actually one of the top picked and top banned ships, despite being, just a Tech 1 electronic warfare frigate. And the Punisher, too, it's Tech 1, but it's, anybody can fly it, and it's one of the strongest.
The worm is super powerful and picked off into.
Yeah,
we're just trying to do this as just an open, have some fun. We're not trying to take any credit. We just want to get people involved and excited about tournament. And this is a super open-ended, take the spreadsheet, have some fun. I don't even care if it's just theory and you guys are on a gate camp, on a strat op, on do whatever, and just in the back end, sit here, mess with this, figure out some things you like, and then just talk about how you'd fly it and just do it all. Don't have to fly the ships. Actually, just, hey, how would this happen, And it makes people start thinking about this kind of format and just, promotes it a lot. And it's super, super easy and simple.
Yeah. Well, this is cool. And this really gives you, as we did it slowly, and thank you for being patient with me as I picked stuff, and you explained a lot of things. This is what goes on in Alliance Tournament. It has gone on in Alliance tournaments before the fight even starts, this kind of stuff. And this is deep theory. This is really where players are strategically figuring out how to show up on the battlefield, and then the tournament begins. So it's not just 5 guys and what they bring. There's a whole pre-game about what can be brought and what can't be brought. And that's what you're seeing here. So that's pretty cool. And you can practice this anytime you want, right?
Yeah, just make a copy of this. You can ping me. We have a script that clears everything. We do have a Discord also if you're really interested. But yeah, just make a copy, have a friend, like, hey, draft against me. We got nothing better to do. We're mining, we're gate camping, we're just talking, whatever, and just have some fun with it and then think in your head how you'd fly it and how the fight would turn out.
Yeah, I think there's a case to be made that this will help you become a better pilot because you're conceptualizing ships and what they're capable of. And I think this is what you would need as an actual PvPer for ship combat in the game, is you need to have situational awareness. And to have situational awareness, you need a knowledge of how ships work and what you're up against as quickly as possible. These are split-second decisions in the real game of EVE Online. So this kind of work is almost like doing flashcards and studying for how to be a better pilot, how to understand the situation that you're in and what you're up against. So
we did joke about making a card game out of this, literally with cat boosters and E-War as your action. And we thought it'd be kind of fun.
I would do that. That's a good idea. That would be cool. I think there was an EVE card game years ago, but I don't think it was.
Oh, really? I did not know about that.
Yeah, you can still find cards around.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but there wasn't. it wasn't just ships; it was also places and things like that. I think it was. And they used to, whenever you bought a magazine for EVE Online called Eon Magazine, they would ship you like a few cards and stuff. And there was a guy in Vegas actually had a huge box of them, EVE Online cards, and he was handing them out a few people at a time, just giving them away. So he found a good use for them.
Sweet.
Yeah, but I don't think there has been a card game that's directly ships and, doing combat with cards and that sort of stuff. There might have been, but I'm not sure. Caleb, you've been around a long time. Do you remember the card game?
Oh yeah, and I remember Entity being very heavy into all that stuff and collecting it. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I have a few cards, but I never collected them. It's one thing.
It kind of started out with a fan base thing where I don't remember who it was that did it, but someone created these mock normal playing cards, and then it started being a few guys trying to do a card game, and then CCP did the actual card game. Not exactly like the players had done, but it's another one of those examples where the player base just kind of kicks things off, and then eventually CCP figures out that that might be a good idea, and then they do it, and then they don't really iterate on it, or they don't launch it in the right way, and then it doesn't actually pick up and become a monetizable business, which is just sad. It's just,
Because could you see this as a card game?
Maybe. I would have to look a little bit deeper than what you guys have done now. It would have to be polished to actually be a marketable thing. But any creative stuff that players do tend to have some marketable thing in there. It's just, it needs to be done right.
I could clearly see this as like a board game even. It's there's a lot that goes into it.
I just don't understand why CCP doesn't just try and do a very simple version of the board game they already developed and let us try it out for serious, right? In a decent scenario where we could actually sit there and game test it and give them feedback, and then actually consider doing it as a real game that you can buy. Because the board game was ready for walk-in stations. It's already in there.
Yeah.
Well, if it's just a board game, then like that consists of, a set of rules and some paper, and like players can get together and create that and present it and be like, hey, CCP, we kind of already did this. You want to just publish it and make it official?
EVE Online Monopoly Edition. Go to Stain, directly to Stain. Do not pass Gita. Do not collect Prius.
As far as I remember, it's pretty much some sort of hybrid between chess and Go, based on these hexagon things where you then move around the board and capture space, basically.
Has there been a meta yet, Casper? Atom? I've seen some things that have broken up the meta. Yesterday there were the two people immediately MJD'd straight into the enemy team. It was completely unexpected.
Yeah, I got like 2 shot right there. That surprised the crap out of me. But actually, no, and I'm really happy about that. It's been 4 days and there's not a winning comp. And with so many bans, if that ever happens, the ban format of Dota like this just makes it so, one stupid comp can never just be continuously brought. And if something like that ever does occur, obviously we don't have the ability to change hero stats, quote, Dota, but we can just mess with points a little bit, as you see in the bottom left, like we already have. And so we can always be, slightly changing up the meta, slightly balancing if anything does turn out to be broken.
Will changes be made faster than CCP does? So, we'll expect.
I'm not going to get into that one.
Okay, he's not taking the bait. That's good. So
where did your intel come from that there was a dev blog coming?
It's already on Twitter.
I can't reveal sources. Twitter.
Okay. Well, no, I'm just refreshing the dev blog page, and there hasn't been one.
Yeah, it's not dropping. We're waiting. Hopefully, we were trying to catch it before it went on, so we could talk about it live. But this has been cool, Casper. Thanks for showing me this. And
thanks for the invite. I'm happy to show it off.
That's good stuff.
There is a Discord if anybody's actually interested, and every day around 1800, we've been trying to do some scrims. Just kind of show up and you get picked, whatever, right, left. We'll pick everybody, make sure everybody can fly. This weekend, Saturday and Sunday at 1800, we're trying to get some people to make some 5 stacks. And on that spreadsheet that I linked you, under one of the tabs on the bottom, there is a team submission if you feel like showing up.
Awesome. Let's post that into Twitch and Discord. Make sure people know how to find you guys. Thanks again for showing us this. Pretty cool.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for going over it, and I hope you guys have a good show. I'm going to dip off of here and get some coffee.
Thanks, Casper.
Have a good one, guys.
Well, I don't want to sit here all day waiting for it. So what we can do is maybe light back up a second show for the day when the dev blog hits, if it's important. If it's not, we'll just pick it up on Monday. It is Friday, though, so it'd be nice to cover it, because by the time we get to it next Monday, it'll be like past.
We should do an official request that if CCP wants to drop dev blogs, could they please do it before we do the Today Show?
Yeah, I think their schedule is different than ours.
Well, their schedule should be that they are leaving office officially around the time when you start, right? That's usually when the day ends in Iceland, right? They're 1 hour behind me, as far as I remember. So that would actually fit their schedule. It's the last thing they do before they go home. Of course, we're in quarantine, Corona era, so everything is just not normal.
Yeah, let me actually write CCP's community team, see if anything's coming out. In the meantime, is there anything going on in the markets? I haven't checked them lately.
Oh yeah, really interesting things. It looks like stuff is starting to properly deplete, and the minerals are going slightly bonkers in very interesting directions. People don't really yet believe, or the market doesn't really believe, that there will be a shortage in isogen, NOx, and pyrite. So that's done this weird, like, step-like plateau, and everything else is like climbing like a mofo.
So let's look at the graphs. Yeah, there's megasite climbing. Morphite climbing.
You got isogen, it's got this weird, it's exactly like a step, like an actual stepping step thingy. Just totally vertical, goes up and then just corrects it at around 20. And I think pyrite does exactly the same.
Well, isogen jumped up and then just flatlined. And
Oh, fix your thing. You remove the fucking Donkian and stuff. It doesn't. It messes up the graph. And fix your timeline as well to max. Otherwise, you're just gonna look at messy recent things.
hold on, let me take. I'm gonna. There, the min max is the one that screws me up.
Yeah. I mean, you can see that weird step thing, right?
We'll do moving 5 just to show more dynamic movement, but yeah, huge step.
And if you check pyrite, it does exactly the same. And it's like this, okay, we're correcting, but we don't know how much yet. And then you got this weird phenomenon of Sidrine exploding and just going ballistic, and Megaside is like lagging as if it's not sure if that's going to be scarce too. It's like it's very funny to watch this, because it's mostly psychology, because we haven't really gotten to proper depletion. People still have massive stacks lying around. So this is more like what they expect to happen and how the deals that they are able to make is actually coming in, right? So yeah, going to be very exciting to see the further developments. And I still got like Tritanium at like 15 and Pyrite at something like 20 eventually.
I'm looking here at Noxium, and you could see where the announcement was made about scarcity. There's a huge buy up. Volumes quadrupled to 250 million units bought.
You can see it does exactly the same, right? It does exactly the same as Pyrite and Isogen does, except then it goes oh no, this is not going to be scarce like that, and then it just starts tilting down. So it's like Pyrite, they don't really know yet. Isogen, not sure yet. Noxium, oh, we've got plenty of this stuff, and it's like you're going to see that turn eventually.
Well, Noxium used to be a bottleneck for a lot of things, so it was always.
It was the secondary bottlenecks next to Mexilon, right? So,
yeah,
so I think these two are going to end up following in step, and this is really about going back to what was happening in the past. That's, I think, the goal of the ecosystem team, and this is also why they said they might actually go and take a look at consumption of the things that have like a little bit of a hole. So there's a mismatch in consumption levels, especially based on what we get when we mine. There's like this spillover of things that we use some of it, but then we've got more than is necessary. This is also seen in ice mining, where you basically have this garbage product that's not really utilized anymore.
Yeah.
But I think all of these things are eventually going to be retweaked in one way or another. I'm not saying that we're going to get everything back to very appreciating markets, but I think the goal is to make sure that the bottlenecks and the scarcities are in there in a meaningful way, and you don't see these complete flats and crashes anymore. And if you haven't noticed already, a lot of traditional Tech 1 hulls are pretty much almost gone. High-end T1 modules are like slowly disappearing from the market, and now it's also starting to hit the smaller and medium T1 items, because pretty much they've been bought up for production of the actual fits that are needed. So you're just seeing these things disappear everywhere, and you're seeing things like 50%, 100%, hell, even up to 300% markups on some items on the profit margins. Yeah. So now I'm just sitting there waiting. Are we going to get that dev blog about industry? Because then my mind is just going to blow.
Okay, so the dev blog you're waiting for is where they say you can no longer have unlimited build capability.
Bringing back the queuing and the queue system would be godsend. It would be amazing. So of course, it would have to have some sort of balance to make it possible to not completely nerf nullsec operations, but anywhere in the range of like 25, 50, and 100 slots, depending on the size of structures, would make perfect sense and still be limiting enough.
Let me see if I can work this out. Okay, so what we're looking at right now is the base material, minerals, right? This is what everything's built on that is T1 related, and that's most things in the game. So
everything.
Yeah.
Even when you do Tech 2 and Tech 3, you still use some base minerals.
Everything. It's basically the foundation of building. So when you look at the minerals that are being mined out there, for a long time there was the miners were doing great job mining, and so there was a flood of minerals on the market, so the minerals were cheap. Well, CCP has said we're going to make that more scarce. The minerals are going to be harder to mine. And in doing that, the mineral prices will see shortages and they will go up in price. That's that big spike you're seeing. That's a predictive spike where people say, oh, okay, well, I better buy now while everything is totally, the markets are flooded. I should just buy as much as possible because this is the cheapest it's ever going to be. It's only going up from here. And that's what those big spikes are. And then what Caleb is saying is after that massive spike within the first day on February 12th, you're seeing a plateau as people decide, is this really worth this much or should I dump it?
They're basically saying, this looks fine. We don't know enough yet to actually make a decision. So this is the market just correcting and then setting itself in a holding pattern, right? Yeah. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, you should start seeing those appreciated as well. I do think that maybe something like Noxium will take a while to actually start getting the effects of the scarcity. But it should actually all start picking up and going back to something like we knew in, 5, 8 years ago.
Right. Well, and so what you were saying after that is the mineral prices, those things shoot up immediately as people buy at the bottom. they buy and hold or whatever. But what's happening is that takes a while to trickle, I'll call it trickling up, into the actual items that are built. So you might start seeing modules. They won't get hit right away. They'll start to go up slowly after.
They have to wait until the old stock is depleted, because there's not a lot. Okay, there are some people that are liquid enough to just go in there and do correctional buyouts, but you don't see that much because the overproduction have been so massive. So say you wanted to go in there and buy every single hull in of Take One to make sure that you hold on to that when the price starts hitting. Usually you require a lot of liquidity, and you don't necessarily want to lock that up forever. And it's the same with the Tech 2 stuff. Eventually, Tech 2 stuff is also going to feel this, but since you're not seeing this in the Moon raw materials yet, people are holding out on doing these correctional buys because people want to get rid of their current stock first.
Yeah, and you take a bigger risk buying the actual module, let's say, or the actual ship, because the minerals that were used to create it are now dedicated to that one ship. They went into that one ship and they built it, and that ship may or may not be in favor. So you may be buying something that just isn't very popular and doesn't sell as well, even though it was made with these rarer minerals. So you're better off buying the actual mineral because that has the most ability to be used in the way that you need it to be used.
And an interesting side effect, if we get something like the bottleneck on actual slots, is that you're going to see these people chasing the nominal value, even though the profitability is actually on the smaller items. So a lot of people will say, okay, I'm just going to focus on building really expensive T1 hulls, like let's say battleships or something like that, and then take their profit of maybe something like 10, 15, 20%. But you're going to see that things like smaller modules that won't be able to get a slot efficiently will be most likely priced in the 100%, 200% range, because when you put them in the Tech 2 item, its actual composition value, how much they make up of the value of the whole item, is rather small. So you can take, if you're producing a Tech 2 item, you don't care if you're paying 200% for the Take 1 item in there, because it doesn't really matter. You're making the profit on the other thing.
You're passing
right?
it on.
You're going to see a monopoly or oligopoly-like behavior where people are basically just going to yank all the raw Moon material to then use it internally to produce Tech 2.
Yeah, that's always interested me, the amount of investment it takes to research these blueprints down to a 10% reduction in materials used when you use the blueprint. That's a big investment in time. And of course, you pass it on to an alt. It's not that big a deal, but it does take time, especially with bigger ships. It takes months and months. Yet, that only comes into effect when you're actually building the T1 ship, which adds, so you're saving 10% off the main ingredient for your Tech 2 ship, but it doesn't help with your experimentation or any of that. Like, you can just buy a blueprint without researching it, without doing anything to it, and just using that blueprint to create a T2 blueprint of its type.
The thing is, you want to build the hull locally always, because shipping those around is pretty much impossible, because the bowhead is not really scaled to ship
or a freighter.
Flat packs around.
I think a freighter can only carry like a few
it's not that much
battleships.
value. Yeah. So value-wise, you're not moving enough to actually make it worth your while. It's a lot easier and smarter to actually just build it where you're going to potentially use that hull, either to actually fly it or to upgrade it to its T2 equivalent. So you're going to see a lot of interesting potential spread out of industry and a lot of new arbitrage.
Well, okay. I still don't understand arbitrage, but whatever. Let's actually wrap up today. We'll come back if there's a dev blog that drops and it's significant. If it's just a dev blog we can cover next Monday, we'll do that. We were holding out a bit longer for some news from CCP. Nothing's dropping, so we'll take off. So I just want to review real quick that we talked about the 5v5 group, the 5v5 Eve Scrims. You can find their Discord here. I'll put it in chat. You can also find that on Talking in Stations.
Convict is in CCP Twitch chat right now saying that the dev blog is coming soon, TM.
Okay, well.
I know.
Well,
we can always fire up again.
We're at the 2-hour mark. Yeah. Sorry, Fonsui.
Nah, it's all good.
Well, we do want you in here when it drops.
I'm gonna drop it exactly when you push the fucking raid button.
Yep. Lose all the players, then it drops. But if you see the dev blog drops and you see us online, come back and listen to our analysis of it right away. So thanks to the Casper, Adam, and Rich for the 5v5 stuff that we talked about. That's the tournament thing that we were looking at earlier. And thanks for Caleb for going through some of this market stuff. And also we had Phantomite here who's running for CSM, and he was telling us about Snuff and their history, and that was pretty cool. So let's see. Maybe we will raid someone just in case.
Raid CCP.
Yeah, I should raid it. Are they going to cover it?
Send everyone over there and go, where the fuck is the fucking dev block?
I know, I feel stood up. Oh, CCP is online. Who are they?
Yes, they are.
So Fleabix, CCP Fleabix has taken over CCP TV, and he is a DJ. So he has been doing chill streams where he shows stations, plays good music, and chats in chat. And it's been actually really cool.
Oh, so they're gonna actually talk out the new. All right, well, check out Fleabix.
Well, I don't know if they're gonna do. So far, the stream has just been like the audio is just music, and Fleabix is chatting in chat, and Convict is there, and like the players are chatting, and it's just like a chill place for the players to hang out.
All right, we have CCP Paradox in chat here. I was just about to raid CCP. I'm a little confused if we should stay live.
Wow. He comes in.
Paradox still alive. Wow. Paradox's timing is amazing.
Troll.
He's messing with us, right?
He definitely is. I think Convict and him was doing something nasty to us.
Oh man.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. What else we got going out there? Anybody seen anything? We'll tread a little more water.
And then a nice little wave there. Thank you, Paradox.
Look, I'm happy to throw it to CCP if that's.
Yeah, he says it's all written and ready.
Oh, okay. Well, when's the guillotine hit? Like what do we? I'm excited about this because now I've hyped it up in my head as something important.
Well, he could always just message it to you, Matterall, in Discord.
No, when you hit the off button and we go off, and then he's gonna wait like 5-10 minutes, and then it's gonna be the structured dev block, and everyone is just gonna shit wreck.
I'm gonna write him. All right. Ooh. It's a hint. Structured dev blog. It's a structured...
No, he was responding to someone who said that.
Darn, sorry. Okay. Thank you for correcting me.
I think Aria is saying that the CCP are fans of launching their dev blogs directly into open comms, so it can be this drunken.
I mean,
mess.
not to shit talk open comms, but I'm pretty sure CCP likes us better. Just saying.
Oh, it's.
Don't be so sure.
I don't know. They like us different. Oh, the Pulse video. Yeah, that's every Friday, and we haven't seen that today.
Have we not gotten our weekly dose of Convict dying?
Never.
That's never going to get old. I'm just going to say that.
We should start auctioning out his actual corpse on GIS.
Yeah. I was thinking...
if anyone got in any CCP convict corpses, please hand them over and we will make sure to do the auctioning for you.
I was thinking of at one point when the HyperNet came out, where like, we got to sell unique things. So what can we find that's unique so we could sell it on HyperNet? And one of the suggestions was, well, why don't you sell your corpse through HyperNet and see what that goes for?
We should do the CCP dev corpses. I want to do CCP Rise, or even better, kill 2 corpses.
I guess that character is live, right? CCP Rise was...
Yeah, definitely is back.
He could. I don't know if he has played it, but I think a Kill 2 corpse would be...
I think he said he's played...
quite valuable.
He's played as Kill 2. I think he said that. And for old school players, we knew CCP Rise as an Alliance tournament commentator, and even before that, as he would make videos about EVE Online. He liked EVE Online, and he wanted to make videos about it. So he was one of the first guys on there. They were YouTube at the time because Twitch didn't exist.
He did it before YouTube, as far as I remember.
Yeah,
before YouTube was actually a real thing. He basically had them hosted with Cribber.
Yeah, we're talking about Kill 2, and you're right. He put that on, what's it called? EVE Files, right? Yeah. Oh, somebody recently, I wish I remembered the name. Somebody recently put all the videos in that archive, put them all on YouTube, and he organized them by year. Huge task. And I have a link to it, but I don't know. I guess if I go to my YouTube, I can find out who it was. But that's a great thing to do for people. Although I did like treasure hunting in EVE Files, because all the old EVE Files are in that archive that was created by Cribba. It's still up, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see if we can find it.
So now that
you moved them all to YouTube under the channel The EVE Files.
Nice. Oh, awesome.
So now that the Guristas hunt is over, I hope that everyone got all their implants moved if they were trying to do that by potting themselves or freeing up their clone slots without destroying them all. And if you like that mechanic of implants dropping from pods, then talk about it on the forums. Tell them how much you like it and see if we could bring it back.
By the way, Matterall, how far have you gotten with the scanning of the Eon magazines? You promised.
I did, actually. I was looking on eBay, and I saw a collection of Eon magazines. I think the price was like $250. I was thinking of buying those, cutting those up so I could still have mine be intact. But as far as permission to do it, I haven't been able to locate anyone who's willing to say, yeah, we own the rights to that.
Well, that's about the publication, right? And you don't have to do that. You just scan them for your own personal use, send a copy to Convict and say, please, are you going to release these soon?
Well, there's also, I mean, the publication files, are probably still in existence somewhere. I know that Convict says that he personally hunts through the file server, like to find funny stuff and cool stuff from the past.
That's right.
He's dug up quite a bit that he's shared with us on, his Sunday streams that he's been doing for a while.
And
so it's entirely possible that he could find the source material for those Eon magazines.
Yeah, and just to comment, usually when you do these things with the publisher has the right to the profit on actually printing these things and then selling them, and that's where. But in the contract, it's usually so that if they don't produce these anymore, they lose their actual copyright and goes back to CCP.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's because it's CCP's content and brand, right? So usually that's how those deals are made. So I would expect that there are no one except CCP holding any rights to these now.
All right. Maybe in 10 minutes we'll see a dev blog. So should we try?
Yeah, just raid so we can have a break.
Yeah. Let's stick around.
Again.
Let's stick around. We're not going to raid anyone. We're going to keep the audience. We're going to tell you that in a few minutes we're going to see a dev blog from CCP, and when we do, We're going to look at it right away, read it in front of you, diagnose it as quickly as we can. We might take a break just to cut the show in half, but we'll be breaking and then coming right back up without a big gap. So look out for that in just a minute. But I do want to introduce this thing that was created by someone. I forget who it was that wrote me, but they should get credit for this. This is really a good thing. And I think it's interesting if you look at the playlists on this YouTube channel called the Eve-Files. If you look at the playlist, you'll see it broken down by year. So these are all the videos that were uploaded to the Eve-Files archive by year. And you can see when it was really popular, like 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009. And then it starts to lose its popularity as YouTube becomes the place to put stuff up. And then by 2014, there's only 6 videos that are put up there. And by 2017, sorry, that's 2014, right? So we're talking BTEC R, Eve-Files is already a thing. Like everything's gone to YouTube.
Okay, CCP Paradox, what is your favorite pizza and where do we order it for you?
Whoops. Okay, sorry about that. My volume's all messed up. I'm going to actually cut tape and be right back because my OBS is kind of wacky. I'm not able to control the mutes or volumes very well. So stay with us. Don't leave the channel. We'll be back in about 30 seconds to a minute. All right, we'll be back in just 1 minute. We'll have some news when we come back.